Guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and I vlog daily since the very start of this awful war with Russia to keep you updated on real-life situation in my country. And if you're new to my channel, check the videos. If you like them, subscribe, because the world needs to know more about Ukraine, and I hope that you will be able to witness our victory on my channel through our videos, and the sooner the better. You know that sometimes I tell you about these cultural differences that exist between our countries, and the majority of Ukrainian Orthodox people are going to celebrate Easter this Sunday. I will try to film you some things that I'm doing as a preparation for this really important and perhaps the most favorite holiday in Ukraine, religious holiday in Ukraine. But today we have Good Friday. And in Ukrainian language and culture, it is described as Strasna Pyatnitsa, which has a totally different shade. Not like good, but more connected with sacrifice, because this is a very violent and tragic day in the history of Christianity to some extent. And that's why I have decided that my today's vlog will be dedicated to the losses of Ukraine. I always try to remain optimistic, and I assure you that I am optimistic and I am confident that we will win this war. But it is important from time to time to speak about the losses and to speak about those people who gave their lives for the future of this world, not just Ukraine. Russia is our eternal enemy, and if I think deeper into the history of Ukraine, I can give you lots of examples how they wanted to erase our culture, our nation, our right to be free and independent during the last centuries, at least 300 centuries. And during these centuries, millions of Ukrainians died. Many died during Soviet occupation, and Holodomor was an act of a really cruel genocide that changed the ethnic and cultural background of many Ukrainian regions and traumatized us a lot. And we have come to independence, but we enjoyed that independence, and Russia believed that the collapse of the Soviet Union is the greatest geopolitical catastrophe, as Putin said. So their dream is to revive empire, to return back to the past, and like many normal countries looking ahead, wanting to achieve something new, to change something, they are looking back and they want to recreate the past. Of course, it's impossible, but their dream is followed by hundreds and thousands of innocent lives lost. So for Ukrainians, modern war with Russia started in 2014. And it was known as anti-terroristic operation, but of course it was war, during which we've lost the territories of Donbass and Luhansk regions, Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and Crimea. So first of all, these were serious infrastructure losses, lots of important industrial plants and factories, connections, where the Crimea is a beautiful peninsula that has a huge potential not to be Russian military base, but to be a beautiful resort. And tragically, we have also lost close to 15,000 people, among whom 5,000 are military and 10,000 are civilians of that regions. Of course, Ukrainians did not bomb Donbass, as Russian propaganda and Russian trolls like to say, because at that moment bombs, missiles and aviations were not used even from the orc side, not even from the Ukrainian. But it all continued. It entered this phase of a frozen war, which is always bad because it does not bring victory, it simply continues suffering, and at a particular moment we realize that it will go on. So full-scale war began on the 24th of February 2022, unbelievably more than a year ago. It is a second Easter that we are going to meet in this time of war because of Russian devils, and this is a period of tremendous losses for Ukraine. Of course, more Russian soldiers die on Ukrainian territory, but we did not want this war. We did not want this traumas. We did not want our infrastructure to be destroyed. And those of you who think that you simply donate and help Ukraine, I want you to understand that actually you invest to some extent in your freedom and in your safety, because now Ukraine serves as a cushion or something, bloody cushion between orcs and EU. And they are really dangerous. And I have never imagined, I have never thought it is possible that my beautiful country, full of history, full of beautiful nature, people, tasty restaurants, good shops, nice streets, and so on, will turn into a battlefield. But it did. And we don't have other choice than to fight and to return back all of our lands. This is very important. But I have to remind you that during this year and more, we have lost a lot. Hundreds of schools are destroyed and kindergartens. Hundreds of hospitals are destroyed. Hundreds of cafes and restaurants will never open their doors again because they are ruined, and maybe people who own them do not live anymore because of Russian orcs. You know that many Ukrainian regions, Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odessa, Mykolaiv, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Luhansk, Donetsk, are severely destroyed by Russian missiles, by Russian tanks. You know that even brief occupation of Kyiv region, for example, resulted in hundreds and thousands of executed people, tortured people, and the sizes of graveyards next to the cities and villages that were occupied grow and grew very quickly. And that is tragic. Especially we have this videos from drones, from the air, and they terrify you with the number of fresh graves. Connections like electricity, like water supply, gas supply, all of that is destroyed. Having left Kherson, not able to keep it, Russians continue bombing it because they practice this very barbarian attitude that if you're not mine, then you have to die, and you have to be erased from the face of the planet. We lose tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers, because if we know that 180,000 Russian orcs died in Ukraine, we have to understand that Ukraine also has its victims. And every week in the center of my city, in the cathedral, we have services for the lost soldiers. Of course, not so many, because we are on our territory and we know what we are doing. And I believe that God, or if you don't believe in God, all the good things and our allies help us. But still, this is a war no one normal believed is possible in the 21st century after the Second World War. This is a very bloody war with lots of people wounded, injured, disabled, and killed. And the death toll among civilians and among children is really high, and that is just because Russia thinks that Ukraine does not exist. Tomorrow it can think that other countries don't exist. You all know that many cultures are seen as foreign, alien, and negative in modern Russian narrative. And these are the signals that they are sending to the rest of the world, that we are ready to erase you. We don't need you. We don't need the world without Russia. Putin likes to repeat when asked about nuclear dangers. And actually, this is a very ugly, selfish phrase. I cannot imagine a Ukrainian saying something like that. And of course, the greatest tragedy of this war is how many beautiful, strong, clever people we lose daily. And these are the best. These are the bravest, the strongest, the most patriotic, contrary to Russian, who were taken from prisons, who were hired for money, who are very poorly educated and don't have any moral virtues. And that is a problem, because like the I don't want to say it, it's kind of, it's wrong, but the quality of people, moral quality of people that die daily on both sides of this war is very different. It's orcs against elves, if you accept this weird in this context metaphor. Think about Mariupol, a city that had close to 500,000 inhabitants, very modern, very beautiful, on the shores of the sea. And look at it now. This is how Ruski Mir looks. It brings hatred, destruction, death, more graves, more misery, and Putin as a tourist on the empty streets. And also, when we concentrate on this financial aspects of this war, they are unbelievably big for Ukraine, and we lose millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars daily in the destroyed infrastructure. Approximately, like, this war brought more than 500 billion losses to Ukraine, and the money that we spend, we mainly spend on war, not on the development or repairments. It's all done, but with the hands of people, with their own money, with their own effort, and that is very exhausting. That is actually difficult. Also, you were kind to accept millions of Ukrainians who fled war. More than 5 million people left Ukraine, and I'm very grateful. And many of you tell me the stories, how you help them, how you get to know them. And this is the largest wave of immigration after the Second World War. I believe that many of my countrymen demonstrated that they are hardworking, reliable people, but many of them will not return back to Ukraine. And because of different reasons, they will find better job, they will find love, they will find opportunities, or it is even difficult to travel like every 5 years back and forth. So you will get good people. Honestly, you will see they are good people, and we are losing these good people as workers, as brain, as hearts and souls, and this is bad for us. And well, the majority, by the way, of these people who fled to the countries of the European Union, to Canada, to the United States, these are well-off people. Like, they are not poor, and your country supports them a lot, but they also start working and they bring money with them, because like a typical refugee is like internal refugees in Ukraine are poorer than those who went to Europe, because they had an opportunity, they had a car, they had some connections, maybe they even had some friends and experiences abroad. And the poorest, the most, like the people that lost the most, typically they are not traveling far away. And from our volunteering groups, I know that like the poorest, the hungriest, the most problematic groups of people live really close to the front lines. And the further west you travel, the better people adapt and live. And this is also the truth. So thinking about this important time in Christian calendar, I want to believe that all of these victims and sacrifice are not going to be forgotten, and that they have their reason. Of course, we cannot like trade lives and territories, but imagine that we win this war, and that's what I believe will happen, because otherwise I don't see any logical thing in this world. So we win this war, and then they will be remembered forever, and Ukraine will be restored, and it will become a symbol of resilience, strength, bravery, and that evil can be overcome. It will remind us that good always prevails evil. But if, God forbid, we lose, or we get somewhere in the middle, like start negotiating or something, many of these deaths and losses will be in vain. And that's what I don't want. And that is what we think about this Good Friday. And let this Good Friday be the last Good Friday during war. Thank you so much for support. I promise to be more optimistic tomorrow with the videos about Orthodox Ukrainian Easter. Thank you so much for buying me coffees and becoming my patrons. This honestly means a lot and gives strength to my projects. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for your support of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!